Hey guys, what's up? FrostyFire10 here with a sort of a wish list. It is a wish list, just like GJ Weaver did for what he thought career mode should have in Cricket 24, and I thought I'd do the same thing. Pretty much. Except I have a very different thing, very different list of issues that I think I'd like to see remedied, and they're more about the structure of your player and the attribute system, the skill system. I think specifically, let's just jump straight to it. So the player development, I feel, in Cricket 22 could be significantly better. So some of the stats don't ever improve, or they improve so slowly you never really notice them. And there's some stats in particular, so we're talking like, say, running speed, stuff like that, that don't improve at all, or they sort of sit around the same thing. And I've played, this is a character that's played years and years of their career already in a certain kind of way, but at the same time, I think that the caps on development of your skills, say like judgment here, they really hamper the career mode experience. So I feel like having any caps. So this is a all-rounder, but it's bowling focused, and yet the bowling skills are pretty much capped. Straight seam, it can improve a little bit from here, but it's not going to get far. But because it's an all-rounder, it's capped in ability. And this has been the case for a while with particularly big ant studios and their cricket games, is they don't feel like all-rounders can have the same skill as a pure batter or a pure bowler. So basically, Jarks Callis doesn't exist in their mind, or Andrew Simons, or or a Ben Stokes. So basically, to them, you can't be, a freak of nature, an absolute superstar. You cannot be that. That doesn't work in a game, which makes no sense to me. And it boggles my mind that you can't have an all-rounder and have 99 in every stat, and you can't get to be perfection, absolutely best at everything. And I do feel as though sometimes the way that the workouts is probably another thing we talk about. The way that training and workouts work, I feel like isn't worthwhile, because again, they're buffs, they last a certain amount of time. They slightly help in development, not really. It's not worth it. A lot of them, the exercises, I find just stupid. Like, I always do weight training in the bench, and I've never ever gotten perfect score on it. I just find it impossible to do that. So I get really close, but I never get there. And the rest of them, I just don't feel like they're worthwhile at all. Now, I'm glad they've got them. They're not, in my mind, they're not fun mini games. They're just annoying. So I don't even do them, apart from the bench, just to pump attack. But at the same time, pumping attack is kind of, I feel like the nature of the stats themselves, the way that they're described, could be improved. Like, because where's attack here? Attack here. Attack is there. But I don't like the wordage. So again, the grammar, I have an issue with the way it's described. I prefer just the types of shots. That's fine. But saying attacking and defending, I think you could just have block, and then you don't know. It's aggressive as a modifier for your strokes, aerial sort of stuff. You could do a bit of fine tuning in that regard. Again, caps on all-rounders and on pure batting, pure bowling. I feel like at times, if you don't specialize with your skills, with your perks in the right things, you really struggle. And one of the other things that I don't like is that you can swap in some skills, but you can't swap in all of them. So you can always add later on a bowling skill, because it's a bowling specific all-rounder, but not a batting skill. So even though I'm an all-rounder, I can't add another batting skill. And it's like, okay, because you're a bowling all-rounder, so you should have a bowling skill. But it's like, so many of them have so many negatives that they're not worth doing. They go straight against my strategy with this character, which is just straight seam. So it's really just a pretty basic character in that regard. But I don't like the positives and negatives the way that they're designed. I prefer just one positive, that sort of design, as opposed to, having to juggle the multiple different aspects, which means it does limit your ability to make a great character and to make the best character that you could ever make. And then you talk about stuff like height and weight and things like that. I feel like in the character customization, there could be a bit more diversity of body shapes and things like that. Again, Jacques Carlos is a great example. It's just there's been so many unique players, and I feel like the character creator doesn't quite represent that as well as it could. That said, there used to be a lot zanier, so you'd have all sorts of crazy creations in the community back in the day. Remember when the umpires were all sorts of different characters, a bit inappropriate at times, but pretty funny. So yeah, sponsorships, I know you get them later. Fine, I know all about that, but I do think they could be a bit more involved. I feel like the career mode itself, so things like having your own house, having your own manager that actually does talk to you, and you can sort of actually have more of a dialogue, have an actual person. The coaches' dialogues when you win and lose, sometimes they're wrong. Those little bugs still here, and that's the sort of thing that just is prevalent in all big games. And it's understandable, again, from a size point of view and all that sort of stuff. But I do think that the community-driven aspects of the game are really, really good. But one of the things you do have to do when you start as a club cricketer, is you have to edit your entire team. I think that's better. And edit the whole comp, because then you can change the outfits. Because the default outfits are very basic. I'd like more of a randomizer, so you could randomize the club, the nature of the players, how they look like, and how they play. I'd like a bit more variety at just the lower level. And then as you go up, you get the community downloaded teams, and you get how they look in real life somewhat, and you sort of build from there. That's fine. But early on, you can be a bit more zany. You do some different funny stuff. Again, you can do it yourself, but I would like an option for a bit of a randomizer. Maybe just in terms of kit, the color of their outfits and stuff. The fatigue management stuff, I feel like, is ultimately meaningless, because you just boost stamina. And but I'm more than happy if you just scrap that, or just get rid of the stamina and just say that they're fine for the next game. Because ultimately, I do feel the stamina system is just annoying. It's not, when you're batting and say you're doing a test match and your character runs out of stamina and you can stop, you can't hit the ball as high. And if you're trying to hit sixes, or just try and accelerate the run rate, you have to hit across the ground. But then sometimes it puts more pressure on your timing, which is okay. But I don't know. I feel like it could be a little less punishing at times. So it sort of does encourage you to pick a player that has starting attribute boost to stamina. So they've got lots of stamina, but they're not as fast. So you lose that running power, but you can, again, hit shots more consistently for longer. And on the bowling side of things, I do feel like stamina does reduce your maximum speed a little bit, but it's not, I feel like it should have more effect on the NPCs when they go to bowl to you, when they run out of stamina, because you've made them, lose their confidence, and then so their stamina goes down faster because you hit him around the park. Then they suddenly, they're not bowling as well or as accurately. How that all works together, I think, could be a bit more nuanced. Again, the devil's in the detail. You still have to do your custom sliders. I do feel as though the onus is on Big Ant Studio to actually come out with default custom sliders that are worthwhile, that you don't feel like changing them, that you feel like the game is good how it is. But it's not where it is. It's not now. That's not where it is. So it's kind of, I don't know. It's sort of annoying that you have to go in and do your whole sliders, and you have to, set it all up, and that there is that sort of detail, because it does gatekeep a little bit for the casual players to come in and go, well, I'm not having the same experience, and it's not as enjoyable. Oh, wait a second, there's actually a guide, the best slide settings, and it's like, you get this, not everyone's going to look it up. So maybe people just think the game isn't that good, and they don't see it, that it actually can be better if you just adjust a couple sliders here and there. So it's a little bit annoying. And again, especially for younger kids playing the game, and they sort of, oh, wait a second, they didn't even know that you could, change the slider, or they don't even think about that at all, and they just play. And yeah, maybe, so I feel like there is sort of a, as an introduction into the game, they go, oh, we recommend these sliders because actually this is better enjoyment of the game, or anything like that. As for the standings and records and things like that. Yes, all the stuff GJ Weaver said, I agree with, the milestones and things like that. I think that's great. I think having a broader eye on the world of cricket as you play through is really important. So knowing which teams won. So that can be done in the calendar. So you could have the other major nations, who they're playing, and then you could have, say, the result, who won, as you progress through, and you could just have a record of, England beat India in India or something, things like that. It would be going, oh my goodness, that's a good performance. And you could see this, the scorecard, and you could see, Jimmy Anderson took 10 wickets when he turned 50 or something. You could, have these sorts of things. And the other thing, of course, with career mode is the long-term career mode. So what happens when the players get really old and then retire and the new players come in, whether that even happens that often. I kind of feel like, yeah. So I do want to see some more options in terms of how you think the grand cricket scene would develop. And this could be like, Ireland and Afghanistan and them getting more of a chance. Again, the club cricket from different nations, I'm not too worried about that because, again, I'm more Australia focused. So I do prefer, just start in Australia and just do that. But on the India side of things, you could do a lot more. Again, appealing to a wider market. They could do a lot more with the grassroots and how you forge your career as a young Indian batsman or bowler or all-rounder. And that could be something that could appeal to a much wider group. Just appeal to Indians more, and you could get a bit more, I think, a bit more buy-in, a bit more immersion into, especially, storytelling. I think having some sort of character background. So again, we've got the teams here. So I'll talk about that. But your character background as you're introduced, I think, is important. So you could have maybe personality. Maybe you do get the dialogue choices. Sometimes they make no sense because the reporters ask questions that make no sense. Even though you won a whole series and you were awesome, and then they say, "What? Oh, you're happy with the loss? Can you recover?" And it's like, "What? We won." So that sort of stuff, nitpicky little bugs like that are annoying. But in terms of your, I think, predisposition, your way you handle yourself in a team, I don't feel like your team building is that good in Cricket 22 in terms of relationships with teammates. It's something that, baseball game do better in terms of you build up a relationship with your teammates. So in this case, you're a bowler, you build up your relationship with the keeper, and then maybe they're less likely to drop catches. That sort of thing. You build up over time. And then maybe they get kicked out of the team, and then you have to build up a relationship again with a new one, or you move up the grades, and then you have a rapport with players. I feel like that inter-player dynamics matter a lot. And then again, with the coaches, having more of a randomized skin for the coach in terms of, how they look and what they dress in. And you could just do random stuff. There's a lot of things that I feel like they could just randomize. And maybe people get zany stuff and it's funny, but I think it'll be more memorable in terms of, the coach was actually overweight but they didn't really think we had any chance of winning. So that's sort of, you start the season and there's a season introduction. Oh, this year I think we'll win. So it's like not just having, next matches in 300 days. You could actually have like a summer training camp and maybe boost some of the stats randomly or not randomly. So you could do, it boosts your attacking by 20 or something better like that. You focused on your drive over the summer. So over the summer, you have a progression. So there's so much more that can be done that is just in text boxes and just putting up a stat that isn't super hard, but feels like, I spent more time over the summer working on my stamina, on my fitness. So I get a big boost in stamina for the next season. And then it actually helps me. Or I raise the cap, because I don't understand why I can't raise the caps of the attribute skill stuff. It's just, it boggles my mind. It's like, I want to get to 99. I know again, 75, whatever, but 99, that's what it's all about. In every bloody sport game, attribute, 99. NBA, 99. FIFA, 99. It's all about getting max stats and being an absolute beast. But it's like you can be a beast depending on your sliders and things, and you can dominate if you just make it easier for yourself changing the sliders. But I don't like that at all. And it's the same with other games with sliders. Like, FIFA, you can do the same thing. You can make all the opponents run really slow and then you just kick 50,000 goals every match. It's just pointless. But if you make the sliders somewhat realistic, somewhat challenging, and then, again, you get the rewards. You get more meaningful moments in games. So we can have clutch moments. So Big Bash, a perfect example. If there's one over left, you've got a chance. They could be set up, again, early on in career mode and then later on, or just randomly. You could have these matches which are controlled. They're set up so that you have a chance to be the hero. Maybe they give you more of that in the moment. The other player, you're batting with, if you're in the middle, they say, it's the captain of Australia, you're playing T20 World Cup. They come up to you and go, we need you to win the game. And we need you to hit 6 sixes. And then it's like, maybe you don't do it, mate. And then they go, oh no, and they're disappointed in you. And then everyone's disappointed or everyone's sad in the box. There could be a lot more of this, just little dialogue segments, even if there's no actual voice lines. You don't need necessarily voice lines, but little moments in games, situations, setups in the career mode that make you feel more immersed, make you feel like you actually are doing the career. The highs and the lows. I feel like it's so bland. And, if you put on with your teams, if you put on the easiest difficulty, you can become the Australian captain without playing a game for Australia. So there's some really weird stuff. It's just that part's weird. But I do think that more than just press conferences with the questions that make no sense, more than just the coach saying, oh yeah, good job everyone after the game, or bad job, and that can be totally random. You could win and they go, oh, we could got to do better next time. Or you could lose and they'd be like, great job guys. It's gotten slightly better, but you can still have that happen. And I want, before the game, the coach says, we've got a big game today, we've got to go out there and win. And then everyone's like, yeah, and then the captain of the team gets to go, we should focus on this. And if you're the captain, you could say, oh, let's focus on not letting them score any cheap singles. Let's put pressure on with our fielding. Let's put a lot of pressure on. And then they get a boost. Everyone gets a stat boost to their fielding. Or you could say, we've got to score a couple hundred runs here in this test match. We've got to score 700 runs. We've got to wipe them out in the first inning and we just dominate the game from there. Or, you're a bowler and you say, oh, guys, we got to bowl really well. Or we got to bat really well because our batting is not very good. So we, as the tail enders, have to step up. So I feel, and just give us minus stat boost. Maybe it doesn't make a real difference, but there's a lot of this feeling like it is a difference. Starts with selling that it could be a difference. So you've got to go, this could be different. And you go, oh, tell the player, you have an effect. You can win the game. Sometimes the game progresses and it doesn't make it that much sense. Sometimes, particularly the CPU, the computer-controlled batsman can make insane amount of runs with very little time left in a game. So the T20s can be quite challenging in that regard if you're not an all-rounder. So the game favours an all-rounder because you're bowling, so you have a chance to win the game with the ball, and when you're batting, you get a chance to win the game with the bat. So the heavily incentivizes you to play as an all-rounder, just because if you bat, your team makes 180, 190 in a T20. There's no way. Yeah, you just have no idea if you're going to win or lose. And most of the time you're going to lose because the computer can bat like a powerhouse and it just totally comes out of nowhere. Even when you bowl the first couple overs and you don't get to bowl the last couple overs, they can just score like crazy. So again, do I want you to be able to change that in a slider? Not really. Yes and no. I feel like sometimes it's a bit odd. Just show us the moments. It's simple, really. If they hit a 6 to win the game, even if you got on, skip, I want the choice of just show us the last ball, the last bit, the moment that they won. And yes, there's a highlights, I know, but I just mean like a featured highlight and the commentators go, what was the great shot there was at the end of the match? Little things like that. Again, you can do more with the commentators. They do repeat a fair bit of stuff, which I don't mind in the end. I do like them. So I do prefer to have them on. But I don't know, there's a lot of stuff that's being done with, AI voices, ChatGTP. I wouldn't mind them being a bit more creative, and then have their own commentator that is one they've made up. They can, just talk a lot more using the ChatGPT. Again, that's just being creative. Probably not going to happen because, again, the game's coming out somewhat soon. But I think it's interesting to talk about. So, open the mind. There's a lot that can be changed. Calendar, completely change that. I want to where I am located. So, sometimes you play games overseas, and I feel like you don't get the emphasis. You don't get the I'm traveling overseas sort of thing enough. You don't get that how long it takes to get there, and then jet lag and the stress and all that sort of stuff. There's a bit more that could be done in terms of just having the animation of the plane flying and then landing, and then a little picture of the country you go to. Something generic, yes, but if you're going to the Caribbean or you're going to India, I feel like they could show that in a way that's not too hard on the development team, that isn't too much pressure, but just maybe play a snippet of the music. Or, have like them walking out of the airport, and then just have the same generic airport shot of them walking out of the airport every time, but change the music, or add a bit of, sort of humidity, sort of heat effects. They're sweating because it's hot, or, little things that aren't too demanding. So I'm trying not to be too crazy here, but I do think the caps on the stats are just totally worthless. Totally worthless. Proficiencies, well, I'm going to talk about them a little bit. They're a little bit odd. This character's played a lot, and yet really nothing has changed at all. Except for settling and focus. So I bowled huge amounts of overs as a medium pacer. And nothing is increased. And the fielding stuff here, he's fielded all over the place. General fielding has gone nowhere. It's and length accuracy, line accuracy, it's gone nowhere. This character has bowled crazy amounts. Let's go to the stats. So we made 2,426 runs. We're still in the lower league because, again, I've got the difficulty on reasonable. And I made 1,300 runs. Got 78 wickets. $671 balls. 552 runs there. So we bowled 2,426 balls. We bowled and conceded 1,328 runs. 78 wickets, got some fifers, and yet we have no improvement. So there's just a bit of this skill development, stat tracking stuff that just is not rewarding. And again, I don't like the way it's displayed as well. I don't like the big number there, 50. I don't like the way they've got the filling up the bars stuff. It's just, and you go, oh, wait a second, I can't get any higher. I can only fill up that last one, so I can't actually get to 99. And it's disheartening. And this character's played a huge amount of matches. Again, all at the lower level. It is what it is. It's tough to go up when this whole character's just been the one doing switch hits. Not switch. Yes, reverse. Switch hit? Yeah, just switch hits. His whole career has been batting just switch hits, and bowling's just been straight seam. But that said, why is it level 1? Why is Pace Master, Seam Control stuck at level 1? I bowled literally 2,000 straight seam deliveries, and it doesn't level up, and yet these have leveled up a little bit. It boggles the mind. Why do they? There's so much just basic stuff that doesn't actually work properly. So if you're not going to make any big changes, you're not going to add anything new, add any cinematics, add any more immersion to dialogue and decisions and choices and traveling and all sorts of basic little cinematic things, at least get the game to work properly, to track the progression properly, because it doesn't work. It's just that the core mechanics of the game, I think, are good. I think it's a good game. So it's like the core mechanics of career mode in terms of the playing is enjoyable. So you sort of look past the fact that it's actually broken. Yeah. I think that'll do. Asking for any more is a bit ridiculous. Again, I do want more team variation stuff. You can randomize the emblems and the team names and things like that. I do feel as though you do spend a lot of time at the lower level, depending on your difficulty. But I don't know. I feel it's just so much wasted time in terms of your progression of your career when you have 200 plus days between seasons and you don't have like all season training camps or development things or some sort of human development. So you don't get, more wrinkles. Your character doesn't get older. Again, lots of games don't do that, but I think like it's something worthwhile to think about. Or you get fat, or you've had a bad diet, or something happened, you had an accident. There's so much more, just little things. There don't need to be a whole cutscene necessarily, but they could just be a text box that pops up and says, you worked really hard, and then, worked really hard on your whatever type of delivery. And you got much better at it, or you changed your action. And things like the adjustment of the action, the bowling action, I think could be better as well in terms of customization. We do look at like MLB The Show in terms of the varying swings of the bat swing and the pitching. So again, in comparison, we have 4 or 5, and then in the baseball they've got 100 and 200. 200 different stances for batting and with the swing, plus, and 200 different pitching animations. Again, based on past legends and stuff like that. There's the variation in the bowling and the batting is poor, very poor. Let's not beat around the bush. That's very, very poor. So I want them to expand the different variants in terms of your stance. I want George Bailey's, even though it makes no sense. He had a very interesting stance, so that would be something worthwhile to have. I want the Tendulkar. I want Rahul Dravid. I want Smith, South African. I want Jacques Carlos. I want them all. I want more variety in terms of your actions. So I'm happy we've got Jasprit Bumrah, and we've got I can't say his name properly. I won't try. Lathith Malinga. I can't say it properly. Lathith Malinga. Yeah, I want more. And then I also want development of your speed. So I want to be able to actually, start off as a medium pacer, but you build up your muscles and you work in the gym and you actually become strong enough and you bowl quicker. So you actually do get a meaningful increase to your speed. And then you change from being a medium pacer to a medium fast. And then a fast medium. And then a fast. I want a development, really. Again, the youth stuff, you can do whatever you like there. But I would like, again, backstory. So you have some sort of backstory. It doesn't need to be crazy. It's just some sort of, this is where you started, this is what you wanted to be, this is what your goal is in the future. So you want to be the best player in the world, and then you have like a tracking towards that. So again, GJ Weaver talked about this in terms of, having life career long goals, winning the Ashes, or, in England, or beating India in India, or doing all sorts of different stuff in your career and getting, awards, trophies and things like that. The trophy cabinet stuff, totally agree. It's really good to have a space where you can recognize your achievements, but I would put that up and go, you should have your own house, and you should be able to, get a better house as your career gets better. I do feel as though the financial side of things could be a little bit better in terms of how much you're getting paid, and having some sort of, you need to pay for this and that, and you travel things, and you actually take a risk. You go over to England for, in between club seasons and actually train in England or play in England, and actually, talk about it as a big development. You get like a boost to your stats, and then how fast they improve because of that different competition. There's so much. Again, this doesn't have to be necessarily you playing the games. I would prefer that, but it could just be that, you start off your career development at 17, they look at you or 16, and they go, you want to go over there and play, and then go to the under-19s and stuff. And he talked to it all about that. You know what he's talking about. But I do like that you have the under-19 games. I do like, say in the baseball, you have the games where the tryouts, in between state matches, so they're different states versus, different comps versus each other, and you have that kind of feeling of, the scouts are all there looking at us, and who's going to recruit us, and yeah, there's a lot more richness. I want a manager that's quirky, that's trying to get us ahead in their career, negotiate hard with the teams, do brands and ads and things. Have ads. You can have a random ad thing. We're holding like a box of cereal that's some random made up brand on it. We have a brand deal, or we have like special shoes. I don't know why we don't have shoes sponsor stuff, and we've got the bat sponsor stuff. You could do more with the bat sponsor stuff too. But I feel like there's lots of little things that can be done to improve the game that aren't such a massive burden on the development. Again, I understand things take time. They're already committed here and there. But there's just a bunch of stuff they could do. Again, get the game to actually work in terms of the progression of the stats. And a lot of them don't progress at all and don't adjust at all. That would be great if they did. Calendar needs a lot more life in it. Again, it's going to go eventually here. Yeah. And off-season. I need off-season. Something off-season. Give me something. Training, running on the beach, Rocky montage. You know, it doesn't have to be too crazy. It can be still pictures of you training at the beach or something. Yeah. All right. This has been my FrostyFire10's wish list. What I want to see. Career mode, cricket 24. Yeah, I doubt that'll happen. But, you know, I wanted to make a video about it because I watched GJ Weaver and I'm like, yeah. But no, there's more. There's more. He held back. It's like there's more things. There's much more things. All right, then. Yeah, so it's been FrostyFire10. You like and subscribe. I'll do a career mode 24 when it comes out and try and just play normally because my crazy career mode just switch hits was just massive pain. Oh, that's another thing. I'll mention it before I end. I do want the ability to turn shots off. So to basically tell the player that, you know, maybe they're like Don Bradman. They don't want to hit the ball in the air. And then so you could take away the shots that hit the ball in the air. So take away the pull shot. Take away the lap sweep. I mean the lat shot over your head. Take that away. Turn it off. So you always try and do a pull shot or a hook shot. You know, I want to, because I've got myself out multiple times going for the hook shot or the pull shot, and then instead it does a lap sweep, trying to lap the damn ball over the top of my head and get myself caught by the keeper. It's really frustrating when that happens. So I want to turn off shots. I want to turn off special shots because sometimes you don't mean to do them. You just, you know, oh, and then you press that extra one. I want to be able to go, no, I don't want to do reverse, you know, sweep shots or switch hits. I just want to, you know, specify. And when I'm driving straight down the ground, I don't want to hit, you know, off the lines. And there's just, again, there's a bit of timing involved, yes, but sometimes you do shots you don't mean to do. Sometimes you run when you don't mean to run. Sometimes your player doesn't get his bat behind the line after charging down. They just take too long to go back and then get stumped easily. So it disincentivizes charging down the ground, doing sort of braver stuff, because the animations just aren't snappy in terms of you returning to your crease. Sometimes when they're running between wickets, they don't put the damn bat down or don't dive when you ask them to dive. That's really annoying. And then sometimes they do this circle thing when when the computer player, they go, oh, we'll take a single, and then they just sort of get up and run away, and then they come back. And they can be run out in that situation, which is just stupid. So there's a little bit of stupid animation stuff. But again, not that big a deal, but it's just annoying. Annoying stuff. And the throwing at the wickets, and I feel like that could be just a bit more basic. Doesn't need to be too crazy. Because sometimes it makes no sense, the animations as well. You can throw behind yourself at the stumps, over the back of your own head, like you're not even looking at the stumps and you throw at them. There's some weird stuff, man. All right, then. I'll catch you next time. Bye-bye.